Like I said, public education is a great equalizer. So we've got to have it. It cannot be something in which that we only are catering to the well-to-dos, because you never know when you're going to have an Abraham Lincoln come from squalor or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Stoney Winston. Stoney is the superintendent, and he is at Fruitland School District in Fruitland, Idaho. Stoney, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's so great to be here. And looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. So tell our listeners a little bit about you and about Fruitland School District.
Well, I've been in education for a little over 25 years now, and was a social studies teacher and kind of went up through the ranks with being a principal and then now a superintendent. Here, I'm been here in Fruitland for the last 2 years. It's a great place. We're doing a lot of great things. One of the things, and we looked at our scores and stuff, and we just went through a math curriculum adoption. We're excited about that. We're excited about making sure that we're providing our students with the best materials and the best resources that we can find and afford.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome. Yeah. So how big is your district?
so currently we have about 1,515 students.
Nice, nice, and it's do you start pre-K or do you start kindergarten
So
through
we do
12?
have a preschool this year. We got funded by a grant, so we
Oh,
are
nice.
K through 12.
Nice, very, very nice, and are you guys in multiple buildings or
Yeah,
how's
so
yeah.
we have one elementary, one middle school, and one high school.
Nice, very nice, very
Yeah.
nice. So, I know we talked a little tiny bit, but there was some conversation about vouchers and about what's happening in Idaho with those and how that's affecting you. Can you elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, so that's one of the challenges that we have in Idaho is funding. I mean, we're 50th in the nation in per
Ooh,
student funding, so it's quite a challenge. Our investment on return is quite high, though.
yeah.
When you look at our test scores and stuff, we rank in the mid-20s, even though we're funded at the 50th.
50th. That's saying something. That's saying some that's how hard you guys are working on making the most of not very much. That's
Yes, yes.
wow.
So one of the things that just happened in 2024 legislature was the first time that they passed any type of voucher, and that voucher came in the form of a tax rebate that parents could apply for if they used any kind of educational setting besides public education.
Education.
So that could
Okay.
be homeschool, private school, any of those things, as long as they were not using public education for more than a half time, which should be under 2 hours a day. So, uh, so that is in the form of $5,000 for general students, and if they do have a special needs student, that could be up to $7,500. And there's no cap on how much you can have per family. So if you have 5 kids, that's 5,000 per kid. You get $25,000 there, which you're not paying that much in
Taxes,
big
right?
taxes. So
Right.
it's really uh, ironically, Republicans want these things passed, and it's not a Republican idea that the government is redistributing wealth. So it's ironic that
Wow.
they're doing that with that. And the state constitution says that it is the duty of the legislature to maintain a free and appropriate public education,
Right. Right.
free
Yeah.
uniform system of public education. So they took 50 million. They capped it at 50 million for this year. They said that that's where it's going to stay until they see how it works and stuff. There's already been talk that it's going to end up growing, but the Idaho State Supreme Court is
Is
hearing
it being fought? Yeah.
that in late January. Here will they'll hear oral arguments and stuff. But right now, state of Idaho is any last year, I was saying 80 to $85 million underfunded. Numbers are
Wow.
showing this year that we're about close to 100 million, if not over it right now, that the state of Idaho is underfunded in
Wow.
special education. So in
And
Fruit,
that's just special education, not
that's
just
just
education. Yeah.
right. That's just special education. So you figure out, how much you get from your federal funds, which is your IDEA funds,
Hmm.
and then you have then your state funds that allow for the way that Idaho does it. Idaho's the only state too that does not have a, a special distribution for high need students. So there is nothing if you
So
have
the
a student.
voucher, I hate to interrupt you, but hold on one second. So the voucher says you have a special needs child, you get more money. But if you go to the public school, you don't get any extra money.
The only difference is the funding instead of being 20 to 20 students per unit,
Okay.
special ed students are 14.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So they say, okay, if you have this many, however, they only give you a percent. So you get 6% of your student population for elementary, K through 6, and you get 5.5% for students, the number of students you have 7 through 12. So
If you have
currently,
a child that's special needs that's in your school, they're giving you either 5.5 or 6% more. That's it.
no, no. So you take
No.
your number
Okay.
of students and you say, and the state says, okay, you get 6% for these students that are K through 6.
Okay.
And that's the number of special ed students we think that you have.
Oh, and
So
utilization is
so
not 6%. You and I both know that, right?
no,
Yeah.
Fruitland is between 14 and 15% right now.
And that number in my career has done nothing but go up. Nothing but
Exactly.
go up. Yeah.
So,
Wow.
so
Wow.
you can, so, and that's the only funding mechanism we have for special ed is, that generates your units, but then it also generates staffing and stuff. So my staffing in Fruitland for special education, they say is supposed to be based off of 5.9 units, which gives me a little over 6 teachers, which I have 9 special ed teachers alone.
Oh my goodness.
So
Wow.
we're underfunded by just the teachers by 3%. And that's not even counting,
Support
even
staff.
a psychologist. And then as far as the support staff, I'm only, I only generate 3 positions of support staff. Now we use the IDA funds from the federal government to fund some more of those positions, and that's where all that money goes to. So I'm spending a little, around $750,000 a year from general funds on special education that is not reimbursed in any way.
Anywhere. Yeah.
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 So
Oh my goodness.
and if I look at that, the and those general funds, that's your operation costs.
Right.
So you're paying for your power, you're paying for your sewer and your water. You got to make sure that buildings are maintained. You got to make sure that all your other programs have money because you know you get no funding for athletics, but everyone wants athletics. You get no
Right.
extra funding for band or art or music, but all of those take more money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what ends up happening is you're depleting your general funds and you don't
Yeah.
have money for those other things. So you got to continue to either you're going to have to go out and run a levy or you have to fundraise all the time. And a lot of times you got to do both just to stay afloat.
Wow. And are you running it? And are most schools then obviously running in a deficit?
A lot of schools are run levies and stuff. We try not to run in a deficit and stuff. Where this year, probably, I mean, on paper right now, it looks like a deficit, but the interest that we're getting off of some of the investments that we have will pay for where we're at right now. So we'll be in the black, but uh, th- that's because we cut a lot.
Right.
And there's lots of things that we'd like to do
And you can't.
and we can't. So,
Yeah.
in fact, one of the things that, this And it's not just Idaho, all across the country, they're really focusing on CTE, career technical education, in which, that's a push. Well, our kids, we have probably 100 kids that said that they wanted a culinary arts program. I can't afford a culinary arts teacher
Mm-hmm.
because the special ed.
Yeah.
Seriously, when I'd have to hire 3 teachers and use general ed or general funds to pay for those teachers because they're not paid through because we don't have enough units to pay for them for our special ed, then I can't afford another teacher.
Right.
If the state of Idaho was making sure that we had enough money for special ed, I could have a culinary arts program.
So when this voucher program went into place, did you see a decrease then in enrollment? Did it change the enrollment that you have as well?
We saw it's probably less than 1% that we saw an enrollment from the year before to this year. There's been some districts that have seen greater decrease. And some haven't seen any at all. The amazing thing is, Idaho has 44 counties and 22 of those don't have a private school in them. So it's kind of a sham that all these rural districts, rural counties are then paying for people in Boise and Nampa and Coeur d'Alene to send their kids to private schools.
And then is the funding still based on a student count day? Is that how they do? Like the kids have to be at school on that day for you to even get paid for
Yep.
those students that day? Or
Yep.
for the year? For the whole year?
Yeah, 88 average daily attendance is what they base it off of. So you have your best 28 weeks is what the formula ends up looking at.
So truancy really kills you if you have
Yes.
students that don't
Yeah.
come consistently, but you still
Yep.
have to provide teachers and students and support for those
Yeah.
kids that don't come.
So I heard a good analysis on that. So, we staff for that 100% of the kids are going to show up because that's what we have to be prepared for.
Right, absolutely.
The state of Idaho says we're only going to pay you for the kids that show up on those days on that and do it on an average. Well, it's kind of like thinking that you have 5 kids at your house and you're only going to make dinner for 4 of them and hope the other one has someplace else to be.
To be, right. Oh my goodness. That's just and it's something that I've said many times on this show, how we in the United States fund education is such a broken system and it needs to be overhauled. And that's part of what we talk about in this podcast is how do we, as somebody please start listening to you guys and what's happening because it's so upside down and backwards that, and yet we expect, and then expect you guys to like figure it out on a budget of 80% of 80%, right? It's insanity. It's just insanity.
It is. And it just, it compounds it more when you go through phases in which 2020, we had COVID. I hate to talk about it, but that was a mind shift for parents that they could hold their kids out at any time that they really wanted to. And it wasn't that important to get to school. And so that really affects the attendance at a lot of places. Now, we're pretty lucky here in Fruitland. We hover between 94 to 95%. Our high school actually right now is close to 96% average daily attendance. So we're fortunate in that regards. We have a lot of parents that support the school district and the community. They listen when we talk about the importance of attendance. So
one thing I often hear from school leaders is, I just want a partner who puts students first. At Lighthouse Therapy, that's exactly what we do. We don't have outside investors and we don't answer to shareholders. Instead, we answer to school leaders like you, those listening to this podcast. Whether you're wanting virtual, hybrid, or in-person therapy, our systems are designed to make your life easier and your team stronger. We are a therapy company run by therapists for the betterment of students. Visit lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together to learn how we can help you support your students this year. And that's something
For
that I don't even know that the general public, because I didn't. I mean, I've been in education a long time, but before I got into education as a young person, now I've been in education for 20 years or better. I've been a therapist for 31. Some of it was outside of education, but the majority, the lion's share now has been in education. But I didn't know. I had no idea how schools got paid. I pay my taxes, so I think that schools are funded.
yeah,
And that's just, I mean, that's just it. I think that the general population has this assumption, and then they turn around and all you hear on the news is what a terrible job we're doing, right? And how they're taking one incident and applying it to everybody across the United States, and it's like you can't do that, and it's not the reality. And how do you make it better, and how do you educate people on what truly is happening?
yeah. So, and I'm going to make a comparison because one of the things is I believe in Idaho, of course, it's a fairly conservative state, and most of the school districts are in conservative communities, and they're doing the right things. And we're not, you don't see uh, your DEI or you certainly don't see litter boxes in bathrooms and stuff, because if you ever see one of those, it'd be all over the news. But it's like Bigfoot there. So they're taking everything that's on the national, what they talk about nationally in education, and then they're trying to say that Idaho has all these things too, and therefore we need these voucher programs in order to let
It's an
parents
excuse,
decide where
isn't
they
it?
want their
Yeah.
kid educated. But it'd be kind of the same thing. I mean, you can take police, you can take accountants, you can take anyone. When you have a large group of people in a profession, yeah, they're not all going to be 100% good. And you have accountants that, you know, cheat and end up going to jail too, but not every accountant gets blamed for that.
Right,
You have a
exactly.
teacher that does something wrong, and all of
All of
education
them.
gets
Yeah,
blamed for that in
right.
public education.
Right. Which is exactly why we talk about it here, because it's not the truth, it's not. And your talking heads have their talking points, and when they start talking, I went to Turning Point USA. I am a conservative. I'm a Christian. I don't hide it from anybody. And I was there. Charlie Kirk's death was painful for me. It was he was doing some amazing things. But and I don't talk ton about my politics here because it doesn't matter, because to me, we are all here to educate the kids. But I was there, and I had never been there, and they have lots of media and lots of influence. And I actually got to see the Vice President of the United States speak, and it was fantastic. I enjoyed it immensely. But they were talking about wokeness in somebody, one of the podcasters was out, and they had the mic, and there was 33,000 people there. And one of them got the mic and started talking about that. And I about lost it. My daughter, she grabbed my arm and she said, "Mom, I know you want to go and scream and holler and yell at them, but you're just going to end up looking like a crazy person. Use the platform that you have. Use what you have to talk about the fact that that's not the reality. Yes, there are things that happen in education, and just like what you just said, there are bad apples everywhere, and there always will be. But there are so many amazing people like yourself and so many others that are doing amazing things. And I've talked to all different walks of life of people, and every single one of those people, and see, I'm getting on my soapbox now, but every single one of those people loves the kids and loves
Absolutely.
education. And that's why we're here. That's why we get paid poorly to do a job and try to figure out exactly what you've been talking about.
Yes. Because I don't know that it's worth the headache if you're not doing it for the kids.
Right. Right.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
And that gives me
th
chills, because it's exactly it. It's like, if you're here to get a paycheck, go work somewhere else, go do something else.
yeah,
Because you're not gonna become a millionaire doing what you're doing. You're just
yeah.
not. But you
And
gotta
that's why
love the
I always
kids.
tell people, guys, so we focus on student outcomes. That's our main
Mhm.
priority and stuff.
Yep.
Whether that is, academics or student safety and stuff, we make sure that we're taking care of the whole child and stuff. However, come visit the district and don't just assume that we're doing
Right.
stuff that you think that we're doing. We're doing things right because our main objective is to make sure the kids are ready to be productive citizens.
Right.
And, that's again, back to student outcomes. Are 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 they demonstrating that they're good citizens? Are they uh, demonstrating that they've co- completed the course and that they're able to pass the test and show that they've mastered the content? So those are things. I mean, we're worried about math and reading and making sure that the kids know their social studies and the American Constitution as well as the Idaho Constitution. So,
Right.
those are the outcomes that we're looking for. And and I do get tired of having to defend and saying that we're not doing these other things.
Right.
Come and visit with us instead
Right.
of making accusations.
Right. And assumptions, right? Mama always said assumptions make a you know what out of you and me, and we don't
Yep.
do, and it's true. It's so true. And so, I encourage people that are listening. Go exactly with what you said, Sony. Go and see, learn, educate yourself about what's happening at your school district, because there are so many amazing things that you guys are doing. And so let's flip it just a little bit. Let's talk about some of your wins, because I know you have them and you guys are doing amazing things. You are being successful. You have a 95 to 96% attendance rate. You're going to end the year in black, which is amazing for what you just told me, and you're educating your students. So let's talk about a little bit of those things.
Yeah,
Let's
I'm very
let people
excited. I
hear
mean,
about that.
some of the we did just get a new math curriculum, and we're looking at a new ELA curriculum,
ELA is.
English language arts.
Yep. Okay, thanks. Yep.
So looking into that, we haven't had a new curriculum here in Fruitland for, oh, it's probably been over 15 years. So when I came in, that was one of the things that I wanted to make important. Uh, Before a few years ago, our reading scores were down. We jumped probably 15 points last year from the year before. So very proud of that. Very excited. The teachers took the challenge of doing hard work. The kids bought in. It was so fantastic. I took the board members around on a tour, and over at the kindergarten class, one of the kids wanted to go show the board members their chart of where they were and how much that they'd grown through the year. So that was so exciting. The board members just got all jazzed about that
Yeah.
and stuff. So
Yeah.
seeing how the kids, how excited the kids were to see to show the growth.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
exciting too. You know, we do have good sports programs, but along with the good sports programs, some of those athletes are stellar athletes, and we often are in, in the running for the uh, GPA award for the state team. So state GPA award. So that's always
Nice.
exciting. Uh, we Our band program is outstanding. I love the fact that we have a great band program and a great musical theater, because it really shows that we're interested. We want to take care of the whole child and educate the whole child.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when I say that, people all of a sudden think that we're talking about something touchy-feely and everything,
Yeah.
and that, well, you're just liberals. Well, we're not liberals. And when I
Yeah.
talk about educating the whole child, there's so many aspects that, I mean, music really, if you're a student of music and take that, it really helps develop those other attributes too when you think, trying to uh, take critical thinking exercises and stuff. So it helps that develop.
Yeah.
So we want to
Engaging
make sure and
a
offer
whole
all
nother
those
part of the
programs.
brain. Yeah. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
we
Go ahead.
want to make sure and offer all those programs. But I'll go back to the fact that we're so underfunded, especially in special education, that makes it difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think that we're doing a pretty fantastic job with the funds that we do have and what we're doing.
Yeah. And you know what I saw when I asked you about your wins? I don't and for those of you that aren't listening, maybe you'll hear it in his voice, but his whole demeanor, your whole demeanor went, I love what I'm doing. And it makes me tearful because you care, and that's the thing that drives me crazy about what's happening in education is there are so many people that are fighting so hard. Excuse me, I usually don't get this emotional, but you see it. I see it every single time I talk to educators because you're just everything that you were doing and your body language and just all of that just perked up because you love your kids. You love what you're doing, you love your job, and it matters. And that's the part that we need people to see. We need people to hear that there are, and that's what I fight for. That's why we do this. I don't have to do this. I do this because I love the kids and I love the schools that we work for and the schools that we work with. And we are, we don't do Brighter Together with only the kids that are in schools that we work with. We do it across the United States. We've talked to people in California. We're talking to Idaho. We've talked to people in Georgia and people in Maine and down in Florida and Texas and Michigan and all Wisconsin. I mean, we haven't made every state yet, but we're slowly working through
You're getting
them.
there.
They're getting there. And
Well, thanks for doing that too,
yeah.
because that's something. I mean, it's clear across the country. You got people that, like you said, it's about the kids. It's about student outcomes. It's about how we're developing the citizenry for the next generation, and that's important work. There is no greater, this is the great leveling of the playing field here, So the public education, now I'm not one for that you just dole out and you give things out and stuff. Students need to show up and do the work.
Yeah, they do.
But if you're willing to do that, I can tell you, I grew up in a single wide trailer on the backside of the tracks in a small town, and public education gave me the tools in which I needed in order to go forward and become successful. And I want that for all these kids.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to do the work. You absolutely have to do the work. But I'm the same way. I'm a graduate of public school, Grand Island, Nebraska, Grand Island Senior High, I went through public school K-12 and then, decide, and it took me forever to figure out what I wanted to do. But, again, education is the key in order to, you don't have to go and get your triple doctorate degree to be successful and all of those things, but you need a solid education.
Yeah.
I don't know, entrepreneurs, so many of them, they say they don't have college degrees, but I guarantee you that 99% of them have a high school diploma. And even if they don't, they're smart people that had somebody behind them that was helping them to learn. So,
Absolutely.
Education, whether it's educating yourself, like Abraham Lincoln did, to somebody like Elon Musk who is, I mean, there's so many people that have done so many amazing things, and they don't. Charlie Kirk, we were talking about Charlie Kirk earlier. He didn't go to college. He didn't go to college, and yet he created this industry and this organization that's massive, and they killed him for it, which is tragedy. But it's just, there are so many ways in education that you can, and what you're doing is what those kids that you are working and that you're touching their lives are going to be the change makers. They're the future. These kids
Absolutely.
are our future. They absolutely are.
It's all across the nation. There's so many good folks doing the work.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Stoney, this has been such a great conversation. I know I had no idea that you guys were 50th, and it's awful. There should be a tie for 1 and there should be a tie for 50, right? There should be a level playing field across. And I don't know how to get there, but it is definitely something that as a Christian, I pray for, because, it's not fair that some kids get, I mean, and, it's not a fair world, but still, at least give these kids an opportunity. And thank you for fighting the good fight for them, because
like I said, public education is a great equalizer.
Yeah.
So we've got to have it. It cannot be something in which that we only are catering to the well-to-dos, because you never know when you're going to have an Abraham Lincoln come from squalor or something like that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you. Tell me, where do people go if they want to learn a little bit more about you as a superintendent or about Fruitland? Just give us your website or whatever. Yeah.
Fruitlandschools.org, and that's schools plural. So fruitlandschools.org.
And it's just like it sounds, Fruitland, right?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you again for being on Brighter Together, Stoney. It has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, and thank you for your passion.
Thanks, Jen. I really appreciate the time, and thank you for providing this platform and doing the work that you do. Take care. God bless.